How do we get shallow in the downswing? This seems to be the sexy topic that everyone's talking about at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to be showing you 3 ways to do this in your downswing. Hi, we're your coaches Piers and Andy from Meandmygolf. Now Andy, it's definitely the fashionable buzz thing to do, but I think what we need to understand is, well, first of all, what is shallowing, and then how can it actually benefit you?
Yeah, why should we be doing this? Or why is everybody after this this move? Well, first thing is, shallowing the club is basically getting the club shaft to be a little bit shallow, or more shallow in this way on the way down, slightly more angle here. But why should we do it? Well, there's numerous benefits if we can. It helps improve body rotation, it helps stabilize the club face through the golf ball, and it really helps us maintain a good posture, which we know can be a big thing for consistency of strike. But there are lots of benefits. Not everybody should be doing this, but we're going to show you 3 ways that could certainly help you if this is something that you want to do in your golf swing. Let's take a look at a great example of this from LPGA Tour player Maria Fassi. We spent a little bit of time with Maria, great golfer, great girl, amazing golf swing. And you'll see here, as she swings the club back, it's a beautiful golf swing. She gets halfway back, you can see the club angle there on the way back. But as she swings to the top and in transition, you can see how this club actually creates this shallowing effect. It's a lot different angle now, and you can see as a result now she rotates beautifully through the golf ball, lots of hip turn, lots of power. She bombs the golf ball, and from here it's just a great move to have. So Piers, you're going to make me swing like Maria today.
I am indeed, but before we get into that, Andy, I'm pretty sure that the people at home are actually interested in improving their golf this year. So if you are, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit the notification button. And also, are you aware of the Meandmygolf podcast? We have had some stellar guests on there, Dustin Johnson, Lee Westwood, to name just a few. So make sure you click the link in the description to go and listen to one of our podcasts. So Andy, we have got 3 tips on how to shallow the downswing.
Yes.
What's the first one?
The first one, okay, the first one is really what we do with the lead wrist. Now, I'm going to give you an example of what we see as coaches when students come to see us when they're a little steep and over the plane on the way down. So they will swing to the top. Sometimes it's not bad on at the top of the backswing, but this is a common thing that we see. We see this steep transition, but what we also see is very much a cupping of this lead wrist. So we'll see the club shaft go steep and a cupping of the lead wrist. Now from here, this leads to a lot of compensation. The pelvis will come forward. We can often stand up, and then we can get very active with the club face because the body is really stalling, and we don't really want that. So how we use the wrists in transition and certainly in the backswing can really help. And when we've got people, some of our golf lessons to do this, it's made a tremendous difference to how this club is being sort of shallowed in the downswing. So we're going to focus on the lead wrist. Now, as we said, this went into sort of a cupping in the way down. What we're going to do is focus on in transition to get the club or the wrist bowing in transition like this. This helps the club sort of lay down a little bit flatter, and it also strengthens the face, which is a great thing for us for creating power and stability as well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to swing to the top, and all I'm going to do now is have that feeling, and you'll see this lead wrist now is sort of flexing on the way back, or bowing, what we call it, and that really helps the shaft on the way down shallow. It strengthens the face, and from here now I can go and turn on that rotary power and rotate through like Maria, and hopefully maybe get close to knocking it past a bit. She is pretty long.
Well, she did pass you a few times when we played, that's for sure. And I think, look, it's important to understand that this is actually quite difficult to do. It's not a question of going, oh, I need to flex or bow my wrist on the way down and that'll make it better. You do need to train this, you need to take your time doing this. And there's also a couple of physical limitations to this, aren't there?
Yeah, you've got to make sure that obviously we have enough strength and mobility to do this. So just be careful when you practice this. You don't want to go through any pain or any sort of tenderness in the wrist here. But what we would say is just rehearse some slow motion swings. Swing back to the top, get the feeling of we getting that sort of bowing of the wrist here. Nice and slow as I'm doing here, and you'll see that the club head is more behind the hands at this point, and that's going to enable me to work through on the way down.
Beautiful. Let's see you hit one. Now, Andy has been practicing that quite a bit, so guess what's going to happen here? He's probably going to hit a draw.
Exactly, or a hook, Piers.
Or a hook, or a hook. Yeah, wasn't going to say that, Andy.
There we go. There's that little bit of it. Started
Overdraw.
straight, but went left. A lot of power in that, but for me, I don't need to put too much of this more in there, but that just shows really the power of doing this move on the way down, the impact it has on the face as well.
Great if you're a slicer, great if you're a slicer. So what's the second tip that we've got, Andy? This is something we use a lot with our students.
Okay, this is the wall drill. Now, yes, this is something that you can do maybe even at home. Just be careful not to damage the wall. You need a wall or maybe even a net if you need a driving range or somewhere in the practice area. So with a driver, we need the wall roughly about 2 feet behind us. Now, the idea of this is we're going to swing back as normal. Now, hopefully we'll miss that wall on the way back. We're not going to swing round like this. So we should miss the wall on the way back. Now in transition here, we know if I'm going to come steep, then I'm going to miss the wall. So the feeling is very much here. We're going to swing back. We're going to feel as if we can get the golf club to actually drag down the wall. Now, what we don't want to do is this. That's just dragging the arms down here and not really using the lower body. We want to make sure we get to the top. We're going to start with the lower body. You see the knees are driving first, but I'm going to really feel as if the club head is going to almost be dragged down that wall. This is going to shallow the club, and as you can see, I can start to rotate here and get the club into a good place. Now, again, there's another way you can do this by cheating. You can do this. You can just lean back and lose your posture. We want to really make sure that we do the great things, keeping the posture good, starting with the lower body, feeding the club head forward more behind you, dragging it down the wall, and then through. And this is really going to give you that sense. Quite tricky to do after a few swings, Piers, to hit the ball. We've seen people miss the ball.
Yep, I've had people miss the golf ball. Good 5 handicappers miss the golf ball, but then the next shot after that has been a beautiful little draw that they've never hit before. I think the one thing I'm looking at here is going, well, can we just talk about disassociation and just explain that?
Yeah, so another thing that really helps people do this is being able to actually rotate the hips without moving the torso. So this is a key component to be able to create that separation. Good thing about this is that if we swing to the top and we start with the lower body, it's almost sort of training a little bit of this disassociation. Whereas if everything goes together, that's where we get that steepness from as well. So being able to actually separate the lower body is a key component to this as well.
So you've got to almost be mindful that when you get your hips going, that the club head goes the other direction almost.
Exactly.
Just like that.
Separation here.
Just like that. Come on, I see. Hit one then.
Okay.
Again, we're creating another big draw, I reckon, here. So maybe you need to aim a bit further right, maybe.
I'm going to get that feeling again here. Again, the wall's behind me. You don't need a wall. You can have that just maybe in your mind of what you want to do here. But really sensing that club dragging down the wall and then through.
You think of Maria Fassi, you think of Rory McIlroy, they're dragging that club down the wall.
Oh, that was a beauty.
Oh, that was hot as well.
That was plenty. Do you know what the great thing about that was? Is because I'm actually shallowing the club there, I almost felt that I needed to rotate the pelvis really hard on that one. So creating more speed, I'd be like 50 yards past Piers there.
You actually made me watch that one until it stopped. I thought it was longer, but it wasn't. It wasn't longer than the other
350.
All right then, Andy, we've got one more to go. What do you got?
Okay, well, this is the trail arm, really what happens in transition in that downswing. So I'm going to swing to the top of the backswing here, Piers, and I'm going to show you a poor one first of all, and let's see what the right arm is doing for me. As I go into a steep one here, take a look at what the right arm is doing here. It's much more on top of the golf club.
Yes.
So this is almost pushing down on the shaft, getting this shaft steep. Now, what a lot of the best players who shallow the club do, this trail arm, this right elbow here, will actually move in closer to the other one. You can see this here. As I do this, you can see that club shallowing out as this sort of goes in this way. This now is more underneath the club, and that's what helps the club shallow. Now from here again, that's what's going to enable me to rotate. So how we move this on the way down, this sort of right arm working this way, will actually help that club shallow down. Now, this isn't that easy to do either, Piers. You know, it's so important that we have a good range of motion. You can see this range of motion here. Now, we've had some guys on the lesson tee, Piers, who are in their posture and they can't actually move this right elbow that much like this. We need to have a good range of motion in order to be able to actually create this on the way down.
So what would we say to someone who has, let's say they've just done that test there and they can't really move that arm or they can't get it up high at all, what would you recommend they do?
A shorter golf swing, yeah.
They
don't want to have to try and get up here because they're going to get this more and more up here. So just having a more condensed, shorter golf swing, and we certainly wouldn't be trying to get them more in here either, because if they're limited, then it's going to make it very difficult.
The shallowing option is kind of out the window really for the moment until you can get more mobility in that shoulder. And if we think about, you know, we think about a good friend of ours, George Gankus, and he will encourage almost that right arm to point behind so it can then be creating that move. You think of Matthew Wolff, you know, he's high with that elbow and then he is obviously squeezing those elbows together almost.
Exactly. So here's a great drill, what we want you to focus on here. So we're actually going to take your right hand on the golf club like this. We're going to swing back. Actually, what we're going to do, we're going to start with the left hand underneath the trail elbow. We're going to swing back here. Now in transition now, what I'm going to feel is I'm going to almost encourage this elbow to work in. I'm going to push with the back of the left hand as I start with the downswing with the lower body. So this elbow now is coming more in front of the body. If I go here and go more behind, and this way you can see the shaft steepness. So swinging back to the top, again you can feel now from here, I'm going to pull it in as I'm starting the the downswing with the lower body. You see the shaft now wants to work more behind me, and again from here now I can start to rotate on the way through. Really good feeling.
Really good feeling, absolutely. Do that again for me. Just tell me what you notice when you shallow the club. What happens? What do you feel?
So as I'm doing this now, I can really feel the weight of the club head wanting to almost fall. And that's the difference here now. I'm not sort of trying to put it in position. I'm really allowing my body to rotate, and then this naturally wants to work more behind me. I'm really letting the natural motion of the body allow the club to almost drop behind me, which is key.
The club almost feels heavier and it feels like it's doing the work and it wants to move that way.
Exactly.
As soon as you steepen the shaft, it's going to feel very light.
So again now I've got this feeling, I've got all these feelings, Pierce,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm really now ingraining that one. You can see that right elbow working in now, and as I do that, club shaft shallows. Okay,
Beautiful.
I'm going for a big one here.
Let's see what you've got.
Okay, Matthew Wolf style on this one. Whoa,
Yeah, very nice.
a little off the bottom of the face, but
Is
it's
it
an
really?
absolute beauty.
I'm not going to watch it anymore.
I've got to keep watching it. You can carry on.
All
You
right,
can
okay,
finish
so
the
look,
video
let's
off.
summarize this. So there's three main areas. First of all, look at that lead wrist, that left wrist. What is it doing? Is it flexing as you swing down? Secondly, get a wall behind you. It can definitely help you. It's the #1 way that we get the quickest improvements real fast, obviously. And then the third way is, as Andy has just done there, feeling that right elbow moving in towards the left. And that, again, combining all those three together, guess what? You can hit shots like that.
Maybe I need to do a little bit more work on it as well. But I hope you enjoyed that, guys. Now, if you enjoy our coaching and you want a little bit more, make sure you check out our coaching plans over at meandmygolf.com. Seeing some incredible results. We've got the break series, the break 100, 90, 80, ultimate irons, and a brand new complete putting coaching plan that's going live in the next couple of weeks that you do not want to miss. Click the link right down there, and we look forward to seeing you there.
See you later.